Okay. 3, 2, 1. Last week, Google released Gemini 3 and it hurt NVIDIA bad. Gemini, as of right now, is the best AI model on the planet, and there's nothing close to it. Anything you can think of did worse. Claude did worse, GPT did worse, Grok did worse, DeepSeek did worse. So it is the best AI right now, but why is that bad news for NVIDIA? Because even so, why is that bad news for NVIDIA? When you have more AI, you're just going to sell more GPUs to make Gemini work, right? Wrong. Google trained its model without using a single GPU. Google's model was trained using TPUs rather than NVIDIA chips. This is really bad news for NVIDIA. NVIDIA shares tumbled, erasing almost 300 billion in market value from just a 6% down. Let me see. The fact that Google used TPUs instead of GPUs has NVIDIA investors, which is basically the entire world at this point, very spooked. NVIDIA shares fell more than 6%, erasing almost 300 billion in market value. That's just crazy numbers. Just from a 6% downturn, we are erasing like 3 McDonald's. It's so crazy. So, what is a TPU and why is it destroying NVIDIA's share price? Well, the best way I can explain the difference between a GPU and a TPU is think of them like a Ferrari and a train. A GPU is like a Ferrari. If you want to go to a bunch of different places and look good doing it, you take a Ferrari. But if you want to go to a very specific destination quickly and efficiently, you want to take a train, which is a TPU. So, you want to make beautiful renders and effects, you take a GPU. You want to have good Minecraft shaders, you take a GPU. You want to do matrix multiplication to make your next AI, which is what all AIs need to do. They need to do matrix multiplication, which is what GPUs are useful for. You also take a GPU. You want to mine Bitcoin, you take a GPU. If you want to do all of those things, then you get yourself an NVIDIA Blackwell GPU right now. But if you only care about matrix multiplication to make the most cost efficient, energy efficient AI possible, which is what basically the entire US economy depends on and what all of these big AI companies want, then you don't go for the Blackwell Ferrari. You go for a TPU. You want a TPUs dedicate over 90% of their transistor powers to the single task of matrix multiplication. And for this reason, you will get And for this reason, you'll get much lower energy bill, which has been a large pain point for AI companies and AI from the very beginning. So, clearly, TPUs are very promising. They're promising to cut down costs and all the bloat that comes with GPUs and focus on just focus on just matrix multiplication to create AIs. And it's done amazing things for Google, right? Created Gemini 3 without ever having to touch a single NVIDIA piece of hardware. So, why would other companies even consider adopting this? After all, they're already locked in to the after all the other companies like OpenAI, XAI, Meta, Microsoft, Amazon, they're already very locked into the NVIDIA ecosystem and have already spent untold billions on NVIDIA GPUs. Why would they ever consider switching up when it's already made their stock price skyrocket? Well, they would switch for one specific and massive reason, and that is the NVIDIA tax. Take a look at NVIDIA's gross margins. They are in 25 in 2025 they were 75% and 2024 they were 72%. So what exactly does this mean? Well, these are all of these are some of NVIDIA's AI GPUs, right? You have H100s, H200, B100, B200. These are all GPUs that they sell to companies like Meta. So let's look at the B200 specifically. It costs NVIDIA $6,000 to make, and they sell it for $35,000, which leaves them with $29,000 in pure profit, an 82% markup. This is the NVIDIA tax, and companies hate this. Why would you want to just give extra money, 82% extra money to NVIDIA for free? All of this green stuff, all of this is NVIDIA's insane profits. This is all it costs them to make the AI. This is insane, which is why this has made NVIDIA the most this is why this is why NVIDIA has become the largest company on the planet. So, when Google finally shows up with a TPU, something that can compete with NVIDIA's GPUs, I promise you, all of the AI companies are gonna start looking at TPUs and consider buying them. It's almost like competition is good for these massive monopolies. It's almost like competition is always good, even for the monopolies like Meta and Microsoft. And I'm not just making stuff up or and I'm not just making stuff up right now. Apple has already trained their AI models with Google chip with Google's custom chips. And I know Apple isn't very ahead in the AI race, but as of right now and as of last week, Google's also been in talks with one of NVIDIA's biggest customers. 61% of NVIDIA customers come from just four mystery customers, and one of them is Meta, which Google is going after right now. It is pitching potential clients, including Meta, on using TPUs instead of NVIDIA GPUs. So again, very clear. People want NVIDIA to stop this shit. They don't want to pay this extra money. And on top of Google making their own TPUs, every other company. And on top of this, Google is already very ahead in their TPU production, but every other company is also trying to build their own NVIDIA chips in house. You have NVIDIA with their Blackwells, which are the most popular, right? We have AWS. They're also creating something. Alphabet Ironwood, which is their TPUs. Grok, their LPUs. Microsoft Azure with Maya. Apple with M4 and using a lot of Google's Ironwood. Meta with MTAI. And everybody's trying to copy and replicate what NVIDIA did so they can cut down their cost to make AI. So, what does this mean for NVIDIA and the Jensen Huang man when his stock is looking like it's about to go down? Well, when you want to buy a company everybody comes up with reasons why you want to buy it. So, when NVIDIA first started out in the AI race, this was their thesis. AI is the biggest thing since fire. You need GPUs to run AI, and NVIDIA has a monopoly on GPUs. No one else can do it better. And for these three facts alone, NVIDIA became the biggest company on the planet. It went literally vertical, exponentially. But recently, with all this news with Google and TPUs, and also the fact that AI honestly isn't that big of a deal, it might just make us more productive and nothing more than that. Or it might just be a better Google search, and that's it. So it's not that big. It's clearly big, but not as big as people are trying to make it out to be. You don't need just GPUs to run AI. You can also use TPUs, which means that NVIDIA does not have a monopoly on GPUs or TPUs or any monopoly anymore. There is competition and very severe competition. So you don't need, you can use GPUs or TPUs, and NVIDIA no longer has a monopoly. So this means finally, NVIDIA is going to have to cut this out. They can't be charging 82%. Most likely, this is going to have to come down to maybe like a reasonable 50% or even 20%. No more of this 80%. So, what does this mean for us and the normal people? Well, all five of us who are going to watch this video, we're going to short NVIDIA, and this shit's going to go to zero. Thank you for watching.